I have been super excited to get World Eaters back on the table. Been playing Tau a lot, did a couple of events with Tau, been playing my local store league with Tau. It's doing like pretty good. I think my main issue with Tau right now is that the way that I've been playing them, kind of like 2 or 3 ghost kills, or sometimes I bring Anva for that kind of like interesting little hard to kill thing, just kind of sitting in the objectives, like waiting in the middle no man's land for somebody to step out to just get totally clocked by a 6-man crisis suit. I think the way I kind of, I kept shifting my lists like a little bit every couple of games. I don't like to change it like from game to game because it's that kind of information's like not super helpful to be like, oh, I lost to, I don't know, X faction with this list. It's like, okay, like, but can you beat the other 20 factions with it? So I kind of like, I'll run the same thing like a couple of times and then see just kind of like what kind of points I can score. Like, does it feel good? Do I have the tools I need? Can I kill hard enough? With Tau, the answer is usually yes, I can kill hard enough, but with like the cyclic ion bricks, it's like a little bit challenging to like get that 18-inch range, because I don't know, I feel like it's a game with tape measures. Your opponent can just kind of be like, well, I don't want to get hit with that, and then they just measure 36 inches away, because I have like the Cold Star Commander, which gives me, what is it, plus 2-inch move, plus a 6-inch advance, which takes a 10-inch moving unit up to 18, which is like a pretty huge buff. Which I always enjoy. Because I like, I mean, I'm currently painting Exalted 8-Bound. I like speed. It's always something I've really liked about certain archetypes, is to be able to like just really push somebody to have to react to you and kind of just start creating, a little bit of pressure. It's always been my playstyle. I do sort of enjoy this new kind of World Eaters archetype where what you're really doing is creating, I don't know, how many inches of threat. I don't know, let's just say 20 for conversation. You're creating like 20 inches of threat, which your opponent kind of can't step into for risk of just getting deleted. So I've got this archetype now, which is like different. The meta archetype for World Eaters, at least I've seen, has been like, how do we support Angron? How do we make sure he comes back? I've got sort of an iteration on that list, because I really liked, in that list that was kind of floating around that did good at the Cali Cup, I really liked how those 2 units of Berserkers can perform. He had like 2 units of Berserkers. One was a 10-man supported by Karn, who gives reroll 1s to hit and wound. And then the other one is a 5-man supported by Master of Executions with the Berserker Glaive. The Berserker Glaive is an enhancement that on a D3 you get that many D3. It's only 1 roll, and you get that many extra attacks and that many extra damage. What ends up like making the Master Execution like really hit super crazy hard. Which I kind of just thought was like, oh, that's like an interesting thing that we have access to. But then I heard like people talking about it, like it's actually like Master of Execution. Where did I see it? I saw it on my audio might be too loud, hang on. I saw it on Auspex Tactics. Oh, I'm like yelling, blowing up my mic. I saw it on Auspex Tactics. He was like he was talking about like the scariest single models or something. I can't remember what the video was. But he was talking about like dudes who just like really slap. And that video featured Master of Executions like in one of the top spots, and I was like, "Oh damn, like that's no joke." But yeah, he slaps. He's super strong. been enjoying that. It's just crazy to have, because he doesn't cost that much. With the enhancement, he might be like 80 points, and with the enhancement, he becomes 110, and then the unit he rides with is 100. So then that unit is 210, and then you put it in a Rhino. I mean, at that point, it gets a little costly. You're like pushing 300 points for that package. But for what it does, it's pretty great. And I am a huge fan of the Rhino. It's so, from 9th to 10th, I feel like it just got tankier. And to have like a 75 point T9, what is it, 10 or 12 wounds? I can't remember. It's double digit wounds. That's T9, moves 10 or 12. I don't have the Rhino sheet memorized. But it's just kind of an interesting, it has 3 OC or 2 OC or something like that. Enough to like where you can drive on the point, and if somebody's got another tank on a point, you can contest it. If somebody just has like one little miniature just towed onto an objective to try to like string out and steal a bunch of shit, like to have a Rhino just advance out and then sit on that point, and then, okay, shift a Rhino. Or deal with like the 21 8-bound that I have sprinting at you right now. It's just, it gives, my favorite thing to do in Warhammer is to give people catch-22s. So it's just, it makes me so happy to be like, deal with this or deal with that. Deal with this or deal with that. I feel like when you're giving your opponent that situation, like over and over and over, it's just, I think it's like a little bit exhausting to play, like to continually give your opponent puzzles to solve is just challenging for them. And anytime, like, you know, I always try to say, like, your opponent wants to like enjoy playing with you, but you don't want them to enjoy playing like against you. It's like kind of like you want to be fun to be around, but you really want, I personally like to be a pain in the ass to play. I find that fun. Because it also really challenges your opponent to just be like, hey, like, okay, you wanted to do that game plan, but like now you can't. So deal with this. Solve the puzzles I'm presenting to you, friend, while we laugh and throw some dice. I find that enjoyable. But yeah, I mean, I was playing Tau I started 10th edition playing Custodes, because Custodes, like, I flip-flop with like my opinion on all this stuff, like, what's my favorite? And like, you kind of go back to well, you can't pick a favorite child. But my, aesthetically, from like a thing that I just enjoy looking at and I think is like cool, I think the Adeptus Custodes like look very cool. I'm very much like, I kind of just fell into Warhammer because like my little brother got into it like a couple summers ago. And I was like, this is very cool. So I think maybe if I had like found it on my own, I think maybe Sigmar or something would have like grabbed me first, because I like fantasy stuff. But the Adeptus Custodes having like the shields and the swords and like the knightish looking armor is really, really cool. And I like just how they're you know, kind of like the best of the best. Just they're literally like the smartest and the strongest, and like they can operate by themselves and like do all these like crazy missions that like a whole like battalion of Space Marines couldn't do. Like, that's really cool. I don't really know how they would ever make that like logically work on the tabletop. It would be kind of cool, honestly, if they made it like they were like knights. They'll never do this. But if they just made it so that like each custody was like 300 points, just one single little 40mm man, like that would be so cool. I would love that a lot. But they won't do that for sure. No shot of that happening. No chance. That would be dope. But yeah, I just think they look cool. I like combat. I think this edition, after they really just absolutely dumpstered Custodes with like the quadruple nerf to like devastating wounds and all that stuff, it became like a little bit of a challenge to like play them and get the results that you want. Like, it's always fun to like play Warhammer with the armies that you like, but you know, if I feel like I don't have enough tools or that like I'm at a severe disadvantage, like it's just like it's a little bit less fun for me. I like to play with stuff that at least has like some play into most things. And I feel like after the data slate, it was kind of... I didn't feel that way with the Adeptus Custodes, and I still don't feel that way with the Adeptus Custodes. I've tried a lot. I was running Triple Caladius, which I think is interesting and super strong into some matchups. Like, I brought that list kind of like thinking, oh, this will work. Like, I think this is like kind of what I can do. Into like a friend of mine that like hadn't played 10th edition really yet. And he was like, oh, don't bring something super sweaty. And at the time I had already switched over to Tau. So I was like, oh, like I'll bring this Custodes list. Custodes suck right now. Like this will be fine. And my Custodes list was like, it was like a 6-mana Venatari, which has Lance, and a 3-man Venatari that has Lance, and it had a bunch of Alaris in it, which, what do they have? I think they have reroll wounds into vehicles or something. They have something that, like, is good into vehicles. I forget what the rule is at the moment. But, like, it ended up being that, like, every data sheet I had, even though, like, in general, I think Custodes perform pretty poorly into, like, anything that's, like, 50% or above. It just happened to be that I think the way that my list was comprised with 3 Caladius, a bunch of Lance, a bunch of rerolls on the Alaris, it was actually pretty oppressive to the Imperial Knights, and I was like, oh, whoops, sorry, bro. I didn't really think that through. I kind of just, like, brought my shittiest army and was like, okay, let's play. Kind of felt bad after that. Because it was definitely... Because I tabled him. Like, it wasn't even close. I was like, oh, whoops. It's like, I don't know. I probably should have known that, but I wasn't really thinking. I just was like, oh, I'll just bring the shittiest thing. That was interesting. Yeah, and then my Tau archetype I was running was like 2 towards when the end. Like, I feel like I'm kind of retired with Tau. I feel like I did everything I needed to do. I went 2-1 at an RTT, which is like about as good as I've ever done. I still have like a ways to improve when it comes to like competitive events and stuff. But 2-1, I'm like incredibly happy with. I think I got 4th at that event, which is really cool. Yeah, it was that. So that the Tau archetype I was running was like 2 6-mans, a Cold Star Commander on each of them. I started running... when I was... The last game I played, it was like Farsight and a 3-man that would like run together maybe, depending on the matchup. I played against Sisters in my last Tau game. That is a really hard matchup because I was just so... My list was so tall and his was so wide. And when Tau split fire, it's just like... It's pretty challenging. And also he had like 2 castigators or something that kind of just like, if you step out to like start to push, I was like afraid that by the time I reached the back line, like I would have like 2 crisis suits left. And I think maybe had I known how poorly I was going to do in the game, if I knew I was going to lose as bad as I did, I actually probably would have just pushed my whole army into the middle of the board, and then just like something would hit his back line. I think that was definitely the tactical error that I made. I also was like way too cagey with like one of my crisis suits, and he ended up just like indirecting it off the board, and I was like, oh my gosh. It's definitely kind of a feels bad game, but you know, you live and learn. You eat, you pray, you love. I'm not worried. I like that guy a lot. He's a really good player and a super nice guy, so it was like my feelings weren't hurt that bad. But it kind of inspired me. I was going to, because I'm running this league at my local store. I was going to switch to my World Eaters, because we're on round 4 right now, and I was going to switch between rounds 2 and round 3. So round 3, I was going to play my World Eaters, which I really kind of regret not doing, because World Eaters into Sisters is like way better than frickin' Tau into Sisters. But I don't know. I played 2KG. He outplayed me. I got beat. It's all good. I ain't sad. I also like when I lose because like I feel like for a while I think I maybe was like, I don't know. I need to play like stronger players or something. Because I think for a while I wasn't really being challenged too much, and like now I'm like going up playing more games that are like significantly more challenging, which I'm like hoping is just gonna make me a better player. Which would be ideal. But I'm also kind of just like meditating on my relationship with 40K right now because I feel like I get like a little obsessive about it. And like I do really want to win, and I do really want to be like a high performer and like and do super well, and you know, not go 0-3 at RTTs. I'd like to like have a reputation for being somebody you kind of like don't want to get matched with. Like that, I don't know. I think that's important to me. I don't know if that's a stupid thing to care about. I don't know. Maybe I don't care if people think that's a stupid thing to care about. But I don't know. I just like to be good at stuff. When I do things, I just want to be good at it. But it's also like a little bit like 40K is like as best as it can be like a balanced competitive game, but I think in general, like, you know, it's just there's bad matchups exist. There's like enough rock paper scissors of this game to where, you know, it's kind of just like it doesn't matter how good you are, like, you know, like my friend who's playing Knights, you could just get matched up against somebody who has +1 to wound across his whole army and 3 tanks that just delete his guys. So it's just kind of like, I find that a little bit annoying about 40K. Because it's just like, at that point, it's like kind of doesn't matter what you do, and you have to just like mitigate loss and create like a new win condition. Which is like, I don't know. Fine. But it also just means like when you go to events and stuff, like not everyone's path to victory is like the same. It's not like weighted the same. Which is actually, you know, like as I say that out loud, when they do the final tallies of scores and stuff, you know, they do weight you based on how many wins your opponent got and stuff. So like, you know, which is interesting because I think that's why I got 4th in my last event is because I lost. My only loss was against the guy who got 1st, and he had 0 losses. So like my loss was weighted as like a harder game than other people's games, which is interesting. Which is interesting. Interesting. Just going to be on my phone for 1 moment because I can be. Please hold. Then I'm going to get off my phone and stop being rude if people are actually trying to watch this for entertainment. Yeah. Just want to be able to see the stuff. Okay, here we go. All right. So yes, competitive 40K. It is good. No? It is bad. Yes? I don't know. I find it interesting. It's something that I want to be better at. I like to push myself to improve things. Like, even, like, I was doing, like, pickup games of soccer. And, like, you know, I'm getting to not be, like, a super young buck anymore. But I was doing pickup games of soccer with like, some people that I was working with. And, like, I decided that I was like, you know what? Like, I actually want to improve. Like, I don't want to just get, like, roasted by these dudes who are, like, in their 20s and, like, we're playing in college. So I would go out and I would, like, do dribbling drills even though I'm like old, just so like I could like have like a little bit more finesse and a better touch when I was playing against these dudes, because I wanted to play well. It's kind of like the same thing with with the Warhammers. Want to like get some practice games in with my friends. Like I just invited my buddy over the other day. We did like he's playing in the league that I'm running. He brought his Vanguard Space Marines over, and like the game didn't mean anything, but like the purpose of us doing it, I feel like, was to like play hard and to like learn stuff and like push each other to like perform our best, which was super fun. I really like doing stuff like that. It's kind of like it was like a chill hang with got some pizza, like drank a couple beers, but like I was like trying to like push these because it was the first time I'd ran this World Leaders list, and I was like, I really want to push this list to see what it's capable of, and I ended up kind of like barely winning. I almost lost based on the fact that I can't do math and counted up my score wrong at the end of the game, and I was like, oh yeah, you won, dude, good job. And then I like looked at the score again, I was like, oh wait, no, I won by 1 point, which was a super awkward text message, but whatever. But yeah, that was super fun having him over and trying out this list. I definitely, the thing that I find challenging about playing fast armies is that like I will maybe overmove when like, okay, I have a 9-inch move, but I probably should just move 6 right now because I don't need to be standing this far out. Like I don't need to give him an easier charge. I don't need to push for an 8-inch charge in turn 1 when I could just as easily sit here, control the midboard, have them step out, and then do a 4-inch charge because they're trying to contest the point. Like, it's just really, it's so hard when you have the capability to like maybe do like a 21-inch like super high pressure play. I find it challenging. It's like one of my biggest things I'm trying to improve upon is to just breathe and be like, this game is 5 rounds long. Like, score your points in the first 2 rounds and then slap them with the sledgehammer. But it's just, the World Leaders are capable of like tabling an opponent in turn 1, and like to do that is just, it's really cool. Like it's something that like not a lot of armies can do. So that if you see like the possibility of it happening and you want to set it up. But I mean, the Exalted 8-Bound especially, when you buy like the 6-up Feel No Pain, because they then will get a 5-up Feel No Pain, which I think is quite strong. It's like a 5-up Feel No Pain because they're 3 wounds, into, I mean, 2 damage is already not very efficient, but you take like a D3, not D3, but like a 3 damage attack. There's like a 10% chance that you shake one of those wounds on a 6-up, and like a 20% chance that you shake it up on no, more than that. Right? On a 5-up on 3, if you roll 3 dice, it's like 18% per if it was 6 dice. So 36 divided by 2. Yeah, it's basically like a 20% chance. Or 18% chance, yeah. Because a 5-up on 3 dice is the equivalent of 6-up on 6 dice. I don't know, maybe that math is way wrong. If you can figure out this math, let me know in the chat. You even know what I'm trying to say right now, let me know in the chat. How did I do this on him? Did I do bronze? Yeah, I did. So much trim. Trim is probably my least favorite thing about Chaos. That and like, I don't know. It's very like edgelordy. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. It's just like, oh, look how like gross this is. Look how metal it is. That's kind of why I like Custodes, because they're like clean. It's kind of why I like Tau too. They're just like not gross. And I guess some people, that's kind of why people I feel like don't like Tau, because they're like, that's not grim dark enough. I'm like, that's fine. I don't know if I care about things being grim dark. But maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe I'm not cool enough. It's very possible. Yeah, but I've only really been playing 40k for about a year and a half? Maybe? A year? Probably started playing like last summer. So yeah, at this point, I've been playing 40k for about a year and a half. Which is like something I don't like. I think I need to give myself a little bit more credit. Because I'll play people who've been playing this game like their whole life. And like they just have a lot of experience in war games. They're maybe a little bit better of like reading game state or like where things could go over like the next 3 or 4 rounds. Which is like something I'm still, I just haven't seen enough of it. And I'm also, there are people who like to, watch every battle report and like read every data sheet and like really pour over the data. I'm not that kind of person. I don't really have the attention span for it. I also like, maybe during a game or after a game, I'll be like mad at myself for not doing stuff like that. But I also just like, I don't really want to spend my time studying for a game, like just a game that's supposed to be like fun. So it's just kind of like I'm a little bit at odds like with myself, where I'm just like, oh, I really want to be like competitive. I want to be strong. Like I want to be good. I want to be able to like know what like my opponent's gonna do and like what their army's capable of. But I'm not super interested in like actually doing the homework, because it's what it feels like. It feels like just doing homework. And like that's not fun. And like this game's supposed to be fun, right? It's supposed to be like enjoyment. So I don't want to do the part that's like not fun. But at the same time, if I'm gonna want to be good, like I probably need to eat my vegetables. So I don't know. We'll see. I kind of just like playing and losing and then seeing what armies are capable of and then being like, oh, okay, that's how I would handle that. That's like a little bit more of like a fun way to learn. It might be like a slower way to learn, and I might have to take like a couple L's to like learn in that way. But I think I'd maybe rather learn that way. It's a pretty time consuming way to learn. It's how I learned 9th edition. And like because of it, it took me like probably 2 months longer to like get to the ability level I wanted to play at than I did, because like I was actually grinding a lot. I was probably playing twice a week at the beginning of 9th edition, or not beginning of 9th, but beginning of started whenever like it was like the Nachman season or something. I was probably playing like twice a week trying to learn. But yeah, when you want to learn that way instead of just like sitting and watching battle reports or reading data sheets, it's gonna take you longer. Because like I have to wait for my opponent to activate and tell me what his data sheet is for me to learn the data sheet, as opposed to just like Googling an index and reading it start to finish. part has to be gold? I don't know. So this is, the arms are correct on the Exalted 8-bound, and like the feet are correct. But these miniatures cost $20, and it's crazy. And if you want to run a list with 20 of them, I highly recommend kit bashing them. So all of my weapons are always correct. They're WYSIWYG. But what I do is I take one box and I make a regular 8-bound squad out of it, and then I kit bash the Exalted, since the Exalted are like kind of like the possessed of the world leaders. So I have like, this is like some spawn pieces here. These are all the stuff coming out of the back is from the Chaos Spawn kit. And then what is it? His back is from the Blood Warriors from Sigmar. And then his feet are from that same kit. The front is actually from the Exalted 8-bound kit. This head is from that Sigmar kit too. But I think it's like a pretty good, like here's, the real model. And here's the one that I kit bashed, which is just like, come on now. It's like the same size. The weapon loaded is correct. It looks exalted. Tell me that's not an Exalted 8-bound. Try to tell me that's not an Exalted 8-bound. I also wanted, even not from just being a cheap point of view, like I wanted the Exalted to like look different, because there's not that many units. There's like 8-bound, Berserkers, Jackals, the 2 new characters like the Lord and Invocatus, which like also kind of look the same, and then Angron. Other than that, there aren't any unique data sheets in the new army. Do I need any more gold on him? Probably could Rune Lord. Some of this could use like another coat. At the same time, I kind of just like, I like to just like get it going. Kind of just like, all right, we lined it all, and then I'll just wash it with I think I'm washing these guys with Null. I can't even remember anymore. It's been so long since I've finished one of these. I have to look at one that's finished, see what kind of shade it's in. Almost there, almost there. Getting there. This dude's kind of cool. Not sure if I want to. I don't know if, see, yeah, you can see it fine. If I should like gold up that kind of like grill he's got and that skull. His eyes will be green. Like maybe I just leave it alone for now. Highlight it up, pop it up with like some red highlights, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what like. I guess I could look up to see what how the Sigmar one's painted. Yeah, this brush is taking a beating. Just trying to spend less money on Warhammer. I don't want to get more brushes right now. I don't want to get more brushes. But now, okay, now we've talked about my history with the Adeptus Custodes in 10th edition. We've talked about my moving on over to Tau, which was very good. I feel like I did a great job with my Tau. I won more than I lost. That's all I ever kind of ask for. I don't want to... I don't need to win every game. I just want to win more than I lose right now. Maybe eventually I can be like, I must win every game, rah! But kind of just want to... If I can have like a 66% win rate, I think I would be pleased. Because that would be like every 3 games I play, I'll win 2, lose 1. I think that's like a pretty reasonable goal for like my ability. And also for like the talent pool that I play into on like a regular basis. I think that's reasonable. Alright, I think I pretty much have blocked in all of the bronze trim on this dude. Probably arguably could touch it up a little bit better. But I want to try to block in a couple of guys. At least 2 dudes before this stream ends. Because this took me a solid 35 minutes to block in this one. Getting more Rune Lord. So the new, why I'm painting up these exalted, I probably need to move my mic too. Move. Why I'm painting up exalted 8-pound right now is because for the round 4 of the league that I'm running at my local store, I have switched over to World Eaters. And I'm trying to run like an exalted 8-bound like archetype. I basically am just trying to be a hipster and not run Angron and run like an MSU style thing, which is cool. So my current list has regular 8-bound times 3. I have 3x3. 2 of them with like the big swingy like chain glaives for anti-chaff, and then the other one has like the other leader has like the lacerator, which is better for anti-elite, which is typically what an 8-bound squad is going to run into. But I just kind of made my list around how my models are actually physically modeled, just so I don't have to like think it all or like put rubber bands on and be like, oh, that's not this, that's this, this is that. Kind of just like, okay, I'm WYSIWYG. I can just look at my minis and roll my data sheets. Just kind of how I didn't used to feel that way. I used to just not care at all and been like, okay, this guy has a sword and a shield, but actually he has a spear when I was playing my Custodes. But now I think it's just like a little bit, it's easier for me, it's easier for my opponent to just be WYSIWYG, and you know, I have the models to do it now. Back in the day I didn't. By back in the day I just mean last summer. Okay. You have been trimmed, I think. Every time I like go to put this thing down and pick up the next one, I'm just like, oh wait, no, there's a spot. Oops, there's a spot. Oops, there's a spot. Kind of missed this helmet. Yeah, that's much better. Alright, dope. There's one. How many have I trimmed out? Is this one done? I can touch this one up. Oh, it was done, and then I added the purple. I remember now. little bit watered down. I've always have a hard time finding the happy medium between I'm just adding on big, huge globs of paint and I'm just making my miniature wet with water. Kind of like, I'm not a master painter. It takes me forever to paint stuff. Takes me forever. Nice. Much easier to just kind of touch this up. So he's got like the same weapon. Anyways, to keep talking about my list, yeah, I'm trying to not use Angron, mostly because I feel like, I mean, Angron's perfectly fine. I a little bit don't like that, like, he becomes amazing if he comes back. And, like, there are ways to, like, make it, like, really, really likely that he comes back. And, like, I ran a couple games, and every time I ran, a list with Angron, he did come back. So it's not something that like I've ever been like, no, he didn't come back. It's just like it's a little bit luck based, and as best I can, I know it's a dice game, but I like to try to know with certainty like what assets I'm gonna have, and it's hard to like bank like, oh, like I better get Angron back, otherwise I'm gonna lose the game. Seems like that's a slightly less predictable way to play. Also, I don't know. I think just having more pieces, and maybe I'm wrong about how the meta is shifting, but I think people are moving away from like these really tall character supported, stratagem supported lists, and they're just trying to find like like basically what CSM is doing right now with Chosen. They're just like, okay, this guy basically you throw Chaos Lord in here. I mean, that is still character supported, but you throw Chaos Lord in here, it costs like, I don't know, 200 points or something, like super undercosted. And you know, throw him in a Rhino, boom, boom, boom. That's all they need. So I kind of am trying to find ways to run lists. It's like, okay, here's just a good data sheet. And like, yeah, I can support it with like the +1 to wound stratagem, which I definitely have done a couple times. Because in 10th edition, you just see a lot more vehicles and tanks and stuff than you did in 9th. It's just so prevalent. So prevalent. Alright, yeah, that guy's like mostly touched up. Mostly. Mostly he's touched up. Mostly. Oh no, I need to get his sword. Or his chain axe. BRB. Audio test, audio test. I'm going to be mumbling and talking about this loud. Audio test, audio test. Audio test, audio test. I'm going to be mumbling and talking about this loud, probably. Alright, let's go. Seems fine. Just wanted to get a quick audio test going. Because sometimes I've, like, set this up, like, with the same settings, and then realized I, like, accidentally, like, changed something between one stream to another. And then it's just, like, the music is just blasting or something, or you just can't hear the music at all, or you can't hear me at all. Seems fine. It seems fine. So right now I'm painting up 12 Exalted 8-bound. I'm running 2x6. 2x6. And that is, if you look at the data sheet, I think they're mostly running... So the thing that I find frustrating too about between 9th and 10th is that if a crisis suit has, or a tank has like 5 guns on it, they get to shoot all 5 guns in 10th edition. But for example, I'm holding 2 melee weapons right now. I'm holding a chain fist and like an eviscerator or whatever these things are called. And I have to pick which one I'm gonna use when I allocate my attacks, which is just kind of like lame. Like, why can a tank shoot me with like 80 million guns, and then I also have like, you know, I pay the points to bring all these weapons, and then I have to choose one? Like, I'm really curious to know the thought process behind that. Especially if it's like, in his left hand he has a weapon, and in his right hand he has a weapon. Why couldn't he just go and attack and go, rah, and just use both hands? Because that's how it worked in 9th edition. Just like when I built all these models. Just a little bit weird. IMO. I am yo. Yeah, so data sheet, yeah, the chain fist. So on the charge, I would have in each squad 5 chain fists, so 15 plus 1 for each guy. So it's actually 4 times 5 is 20. 20 on 3s and usually 2s, or if I'm going into elites, or 3s if I'm going into vehicles. AP3 pushes Space Marines to a 6-up. I mean, they can Armor of Contempt me and be on a 5-up, but that's still not a very good save. Yeah, it's pretty solid. And then you have to do a leadership test if you're even within 6 inches of an Exalted 8-bound, which is a rule I keep forgetting. I remember it when people try to fall back from the 8-bound themselves, but like castling them up near something might be a smart move, so they can't even like fall back from jackals or something. Like, that would be kind of super frustrating. If you lose a leadership test and you're trapped with jackals, like, oh my gosh, that would be potentially demoralizing. Which is, as I said before, what I like to do to my opponent. I want them to have fun hanging out with me and be my friend, but I want their army to be demoralized. Not the person I'm playing with. I want to demoralize their troops. So yeah, 20 attacks. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. And then that's even before the leader swings with the twin linked, which would be 6 more attacks on 3s and 2s. Making a Space Marine save on 5s or 6s, depending on if they want to spend the CP on AOC. But saving on 5s is no fun. It's like a 2/3 chance that they fail. 2 damage is also super efficient into Space Marines. Just get shredded, boys. Just like sort of how I've been building my lists. I feel like that's what you... I don't know. It's not... The meta is not Horde. So like a lot of Space Marines in like the events that I go to, at the store I play at. So to make a list that, like, you know, kills Space Marines. I feel like that's just like a pretty normal way to build a list. Or at least it's a good way to like analyze damage output. Because like everybody understands T4. Everybody understands 2 wounds. Everybody, you know, most everybody knows what Armor of Contempt is. Oh my gosh, so much trim. Alright, let's clean this guy up too. My list also has 6 scout moves because I have 3 regular 8-bound, 2 exalted 8-bound, which would get the handout from Lord Invocatus. And then I have Lord Invocatus himself, who would also get a scout move. And I haven't been, and I probably still won't. I mean, it's tempting a little bit since I have 3 regular 8-bounds to stick him with one of them. I'll have to actually look at all the rules and stuff. Maybe I'll take a 2-second break from painting and pull up those rules. Does he get something like... It might be a free fall back in charge, which actually might be worth doing since I have so many of them. And then it also protects Lord Invocatus. What I noticed in my last game is that I also overextended him, which was like, you know, my mistake. But in my last game, my opponent pulled Assassinate, and I was like, oh wait, Lord Invocatus can just be killed right now. Where, like, if I had him in a bodyguard unit, they'd have to chew through 3 8-bound if they wanted to score Assassinate. Which, like... Actually, I'll try that. I think that was an interesting thought. I think I will try that. I will try to, attach him to a 3-man. And just get 5 scout moves. Because my next game is into Dark Angels. And I don't think I need him just running off and being a distraction. The only thing that's nice, and I saw that dude, the dude who won Cali Cup. I watched one of his battle reports, and kind of what he did with Lord Invocatus, because he cost 130 points, and like already basically once he does his scout move, he's kind of done his job. Or once he's handed out the scout moves, he's sort of done his job. Is what he does is he runs in and he kills this, because like, you know, if you're a smart player, you screen the heck out of World Eaters, otherwise they run and kill you. Invocatus comes, he does the move, everybody kind of gets staged up a little bit, and then Invocatus runs out and just wipes out the scouts, which is just like, you know, in pure Math Hammer is a trade down, but like World Eaters don't really have, and I also tried it a different way in my last game against Space Marines, where I sent the Jackals out to kill the scouts, and they don't have the killing power to do it. I went to scouts. I literally just pushed. They were strength 4, but what the issue is with Jackals and their damage output is that they're strength 3, but they'll be +1 on the charge. So you are strength 4, so you're hitting on maybe 3s or 4s. It's just you don't get a lot of stuff through. It's like 50%, 50%, and then if you're hitting scouts, they're saving on 3s because it's all AP 0. And it's all damage 1, trying to kill damage 2 things. It's just like, it's just super inefficient. Which I just thought the pure volume would be able to kill. It was dumb. It was bad math on my part. I was like, oh, the amount of attacks that I'm throwing with these Jackals into these scouts, like, I can pull them out of my way. And it's not doable. Again, part of the reason why I changed my list up from last game to this game is that, like, it was sort of my hope that the Jackals would be able to basically run out to the middle, die on an objective, and sticky it for free. But then also, like, if they want to, like, you know, remove a screen or something, that was kind of also the hope. But it's just not... It's not something they're capable of doing when the screen is like a, you know, a 2-wound Space Marine times 5 guys. Just not something that they can kill. But Lord Invocatus, I believe, could do it. Because he's got his attacks, which do dev wounds, which is pretty strong. And then his the Juggernaut he rides also gets like 4 or 5 extra attacks. Which at that point, and they're all good attacks. I'm pretty sure they're all damage 2. Like, that's a lot better for getting a screen out of your way. And And then if Invocatus dies, he dies, and, you know, he moved the screen and Scout moved people. Like, that's... If he, like, sets the game up for you in a positive way, like, I don't really see it as, like, a trade down. Just more see it as, you got your points cost because you did 2 big things for me that allowed me to play the game my way. And, like, get people out of my way so I don't have to, like, do things on their terms. So, I'll, like, from a killing perspective, trade down if I can get, you know, movement the way that I would like to move. I think that's smart play, but what do I know? I'm just some guy. I'm just some dude with a camera. Doesn't mean my opinion is right. Yeah, I really want to play... I was kind of hoping my opponent for my next game in my league is out of town. So I, like, might... I mean, maybe even tonight I might text some people. See if somebody wants to come over and do a practice game with me and drink some beers. Also just kind of wanted to watch that... a Smosh fan. There's, like, a funeral roast of... Anthony Padilla, the like dude who started Smosh. It seemed cool. Seemed like a fun thing to do on a Friday night, just to rent that, or I don't know, buy it. Seemed dope. But who knows? It might be cooler to just bring a friend over and drink a couple beers and see if that list works. I just don't know how hard I want to play tonight, so I don't know who I'd ask. Because some of my friends, like, they swing, dude. They just, when we play, it's like we're literally having a physical fight. It's just exhausting. It is so exhausting, but it's kind of the kind of games I need to be getting. Is people who are, like, literally making my brain hurt. Because otherwise I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, that worked, into my friend who, like, you know, plays hard, but, like, you know, maybe could know a few more tricks. But, dude, a lot of my friends are getting a lot better. It's really cool to see everybody, like, learning and chatting and improving. It's super cool. Also, like, making friends through this game has been very cool. I feel like I've been... I need to, like, appreciate that more. I think with, like, the lack of sleep from having a newborn and my job stress has been, like, kind of out of this world. Maybe haven't been, like, appreciating those friendships as much as I should be. And, like, frustrated and, like, emotional about, like, you know, losing a game. Not, like, super so much, like, to someone's face, but, like, you know, it's, like, annoyed me a little bit more than I'd like. Which I don't like. I don't want this game to, like, affect me in, like, a negative way based on, like, wins and losses. Especially not to, like, make me be, like, annoyed with, like, one of my friends because of it is, like, it's really not what I want. I've been, like, meditating on, like, how I can have, like, a healthier relationship with 40K. Because you just spend, I mean, it's crazy. You spend so much time and, like, yo, this game ain't cheap. You spend so much time theory crafting, thinking, painting, purchasing, list building, talking. You spend so much time doing it. And then, like, to get outplayed or, like, have something happen that, like, you're like, well, that's kind of lame that happened in that way. You know, when you're this obsessed, you know? I mean, like, be honest, like, it's pretty, like, I'm all in on this hobby. When you're, like, that obsessive about something and you also, you know, have a personality type like mine where, like, you really want to be a high performer and you really want to do a good job, and you, like, if you don't, you know, do as well as you think you should have, like, to have like negative, like circular thinking. It's just, I don't know. Kind of gotta, I want to meditate on this a little bit. Because on the one hand, I think I really do want to spend a lot of time or energy trying to be good enough to win events. Like, I don't need to win LVO. Like, that's not really a goal I have. But to be able to go to an RTT, like, in LA and go 3-0 is, like, that's about as good as I want to be. Like, which is very, very good. Like, it's... I mean, you have to be, like, significantly above average. I mean, you could get some good matchups and win an RTT, but you can't win an RTT if you're not good at the game. So, that's kind of, like, my one goal. You know, I hate talking about, like, video ideas before I make them, because then people are like, you know, it ruins the surprise a little bit, and then also, like, you know, if you don't do it, people are like, oh, well, he keeps talking about ideas and not doing them. But I think one of my video series ideas would be to, like, kind of vlog and catalog kind of my journey from being, like, a slightly above average player to, like, winning my first RTT. Which, I don't know. Maybe the vlog series never ends because I never win. Or I have an RTT on December 30th. Like, maybe I make 2 episodes because I'm like, all right, I'm training for this RTT. I got a couple practice games in. And then I go to the RTT and I just win it. And I'm like, oh, well, guess we got to set a new goal. Guess my new goal is to win a GT. The one thing I'm kind of like, switching gears a little bit, but not really, I'm curious about is how people like train for LVO and practice for LVO when they always release a balanced data slate before the event. So I'm like a little bit curious, like how, you know, I'm going to be running this list and I doubt they're going to make it stronger. World Eaters, I feel like, need to just not get touched at all in the balanced data slate. I think they're actually kind of perfect. Like, everything else needs to just move around them, and then we can determine if they're a problem or not. But I want some points drops. But really, I think that's not what I want. What I want is for stuff that costs the same as Berserkers to be more expensive. Like, I'm pretty sure Chosen are, like, basically the same cost as Berserkers, and they, like, actually murder and advance in charge on their data sheet and just do 80 million things for like no cost with a billion really good weapons because Warrior is free, and that's a really stupid thing that they did. Where I throw, like, I don't know, with a 5-man Zerg squad, it's like, is it 20 attacks on 6s plus the Eviscerator, which is like another 3 or 4. Which is, like, not nothing to throw 20 attacks for 100 points at strength 6, AP 1, damage 1. Like, that's fine, I think, for 100 points. Like, that's actually pretty good. Or what I think should be 100 points. You know, for them not being able to do anything else. Because a lot of the times, like, units, like, also have guns. And, like, yeah, there's a couple of pistols hidden in that squad, but I don't know. I feel like they don't do much. They can, like, overcharge and pop off, but, like, you could... I've done it and then failed a hazard and turned my 5-man into a 4-man, and that feels real bad. Because I would much rather hit in combat with a Berserker than have shot one plasma pistol. Sometimes maybe it's worth. I overcharged into... Maybe it was worth into the target I did. Because I overcharged into Centurions, or Assaults. What were they? They were like the shooting Centurions. I overcharged into them. And I think that was probably the right idea. Because the minis that are holding the plasma pistols just have regular... regular... just chain swords. So to do, it's like AP 3 damage 2 into a Centurion, make it save on 5 and take 2 damage. You Yeah, save on 5, because I think they're base save 2, I think. But to lose the model was not ideal. Not ideal. Alright, we're cooking. You need to model an infantry gauntlet on one of those dudes. Oh, Infinity Gauntlet. I can't read. Yeah, that'd be cool. Do like a Power Fist and just paint some Infinity Stones on it. I think I'm like kind of done with 8-bound finally. I have 21 of them, which is enough for 6x3 is 18, so I have enough to do even one 6-man. In my current list, I'm running 2 6-mans of Exalted and 3x3 regular, which is interesting. I am probably going to attach Invocatus. To a 3-man? I don't know why I just totally lost my train of thought. Attention deficit disorder. But I'm really happy with how this turned out. I like it's maybe a little hard to pick up on camera, but I airbrushed like green on the top, which I think is like a super interesting highlight. I don't know if that's good good color theory or not, but I think it looks rad. Might go through and do some more like on like this guy doesn't have it. Might do it on his horns and stuff. Might look good to just go sink. You trying to practice that Necron list? You doing anything today? After work? That needs to be like white. Like ribs. I need to fix the frame rate on this cam link. It looks terrible. I don't know why it's not working. This one is mostly touched up. None of that is going to be bronze. It kind of just looks like a reflection. Frame. Solid progress. Let's see. Have a 6-man yet? Almost. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay, yeah. Gotta figure out how to split these so that my opponents know which group is which. I probably will send them to different objectives, so it probably won't matter too much. Ink. And some of this I hit with the purple pretty hard, but brush is dying. I've gotten a lot better at taking care of my brushes, but when I first started the hobby, I just would never wash them and just totally forget and then have to buy new brushes like every 2 weeks, which is not sustainable. And I tried to just like, whatever, maybe I'm just gonna need to buy cheap brushes because that's just what I do. The cheap brushes just, they're not good. So. I feel like this wet palette might be like 2. It's just really making the paint a bit runny. Converting possessed models into Exalted 8-bound is the best, because they're literally the same model. I just literally cut their arms off and replace them. And then they become Exalted 8-bound. The amount that they gutted the World Eaters was kind of kooky. I can't even imagine for somebody who was like collecting CSM for like 3 editions, but like loved the World Eaters. And then when they finally got their book, they're like, oh, you know all those miniatures that you own? Yeah, none of them have rules. Play CSM. Become a different faction. Chapter. Because that happened to me a little bit. Where I had, I even like was trying to predict what was gonna stay and go, and I noticed that I think Death Guard and Thousand Sons don't have Forge Fiends and Mauler Fiends. So I was like, okay, well that's not gonna stay. So I sold my Mauler Fiend, and I really regretted it. Because I actually think Mauler Fiends like are decent. They cost like 150. They don't like hit as hard. It's or 155. They're like maybe tankier. Death Guard. Oh, Death Guard lost the Possessed. Yeah, that's... You have like 6 of those too, right? That sucks. Do you still have those, or did you sell them to Adam? Because I do have CSM. I feel like I asked you this already, and you said you sold them to Adam. Oh yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. I do love me some, like, just ugly, like, old squatty models. It was cool, though, to have, like, some, like, Primera scale Space Marines to build and paint. Like, that was... I was telling you that. Like, they're just so good. The models are just, like, amazing. But from, like, a gameplay perspective and, like, having to, like, invest time into, like, paint something to a good standard, to just paint some squatty miniatures that you kit bash together, like, poorly and then get them on the table and play some games is, I think, a little bit more my speed. I mean, I do like the shadows that this purple is kind of creating. Like, the reflection off the metal, like, it actually looks kind of rad. I probably won't clean up all of it. I'll probably leave a little bit for some contrast and some value. The way that Possessed play, I guess, is kind of like anti-Death Guard. Because, like, I don't think they want your, like, infantry being fast. They want you to just be a slow boy. Which is why those, like, mechanized archetypes, I think, are so cool. Like, running, like, a bunch of Fetid Bloat drones or Mephitic Blight Haulers. Like, those things are sweet. Are Blight Haulers... I know I've asked you this like 50 times. I don't know if you're still watching either, but... Are Blight Haulers, just one model? Or can you do... Because I think you told me that you can't split them anymore, but can you still make it like a 3-man? I feel like the investment gets a little high at that point, but... I wonder if having like those melted, like 3 Melta shots... I think it's like 300 points, so maybe that's bad. 1 to 3, yeah. Yeah, maybe that's bad. But if you brought, like, those guys to, like, punch stuff that's tanky, and then you brought the flamethrower Fetid Blight drones... And then also, are they different data sheets? You're like, is there a flesh mower and, like, a Fetid Bloat drone? So could you do 6 of them? Or is it 3 with different loadout? Because I feel like 6, 3 flesh mower, 3 flamethrower dudes is actually kind of legit. Which makes me think that you probably can't do it. Because it's a good idea that I haven't seen done yet. So it's probably not possible. This is probably good enough. I'll have to hide. After I wash it, I'll have to bring some of this bronze back up. I'm kind of tired of. That's pretty good. I'm gonna look up that Death Guard thing real quick. Guard Index. Bloat. 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 There's a lot. Surprisingly, bloat is written on a lot of data sheets. Oh, Chaos Spawn are still in Death Guard. They move 8? The 5 of Feel No Pain? That's interesting. Fetid Bloat Drone. Oh yeah, it is the same miniature with Plague Spitter or Flesh Mower. You can only bring 1. So a maximum of 3 in an army. At 100 points though, they kill more than a... It's basically like a Rhino. Like a slightly... Same toughness. OC3. Fallback, shoot, and charge. 5 up invuln. For 10 points more than a Rhino, I mean, you don't get the carrying capacity, but... Anti-infantry 2+ on the Flamer? That's actually really good. Lethal hits on the Flesh Mower. With 10 attacks on 3s. AP 1 damage too? Bro, I think I would bring these. You have 2 of them, don't you? If I brought 3, I don't know what the split would be, though. If I would bring 1 Flesh Mower... Maybe 2 Flamers I would bring. There's a lot of infantry in this game. Just trying to think of, like, what have I been running into a lot? It's a lot of people with their feet on the ground. Man, I am too impatient for Chaos Trim. A bit messy. Need like a non-contrast version. This red. Which I'm sure there is. I mean, Corn Red is probably close enough to touch this stuff with. It's like a bluey red. Let's take a peek. Is it possible to touch this up with Corn Red, or do I need to mix it with something? It honestly might be close enough to do. And then I could wash it with the contrast. Let's see. Let's try to clean this guy up a little bit. It's just so dark. Corn Red seems like a little bit too bright, which is crazy because it's like one of the darkest reds. Huh. I need to thin this a little bit. Let's come on. Oh, that's not bad. When it's drying, it's blending a little better. And then I could probably just hit it with the contrast again if I needed to. Messy paint job. Said it before, I'll say it again. Do you like painting? It's not my favorite part. Probably not a problem. It's okay. Actually kind of like that it's bringing up this red a little bit. Which I do normally do once I get to like the highlight process. I do add in some oranges and stuff and try to give some like kind of like high contrast on this. So the darkest red is like pretty deep red. Then the lightest spot is like a little bit orangey. Highlighting red can be challenging, but that's how my friends advised me to do it. Seems to be going okay. Yes, it's fine. It'll dry a little bit. Worst case scenario, my world eaters look corn red. Oh no. Oh no. Dare you look corn red, worshippers of corn. Feel a little bit better about this process. That one felt particularly messy, and I was like, what am I doing here? All right, well, that's 90 minutes. If you guys want to see more Warhammer content, just subscribe, I guess. I'm not going too hard on this right now. I'm trying to figure out what we're trying to do, but if you want to see my journey of trying to be a slightly better quasi-competitive player, follow for some content on that, and some random painting live streams. All right, thanks for watching. Good night.